Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 8. First of all, thank you for checking out the video, supporting my page in any way you can through your prayers, contributions, and just by hearing, just by giving me your ear for a few minutes. You have done me a greater, I don't want to use the word service, but you're really doing me a big favor, because this is what I was born for. Just like a tree is born to give you fruit and shelter and shade, well, I was just born to hear and share. So my life is fulfilled by you hearing the things that I share. Whether you agree or not is not up to me, but I know that it's my duty to hear and share. So here we go. I want to name this video He Had to Leave. And the subject matter is Krishna, love, and devotional service. Krishna grew up in a place called Vrindavan. And later on, during his manifest pastimes, his Leela, on a battlefield, the biggest war in the world, he was schooling somebody. He was breaking down some important science. And that science is the essence of the Mahabharata, which is one of the biggest epics known to man. And that essence is called Bhagavad Gita. And in chapter 4, verse 8, he's basically saying that, during a certain time period, every day of Lord Brahma, I come to this earth and I come here to basically protect the righteous people, to deliver those who are already delivered, the sadhus, to annihilate the wicked, chopping demons' heads off, and to reestablish the principles of Dharma. Pause, because we don't want to use religion as a translation for the word Dharma. The word Dharma has a much deeper essence than just to reestablish religious principles. But let's compare some things about Krishna's life in Vraj as an apparent young boy to his life as an administrator, a ruler in Dwarka and Mathura. First of all, he had to leave Vrindavan because he was still attracting the minds of the living entity by his wonderful pastimes. Even as an infant, he would kill demons. Known fact. From Gokul to when they transferred to the forest of Vrindavan, he was killing demons from birth. So that was definitely being fulfilled. And his childhood pastimes were extremely rare and wonderful and impossible by material standards. Krishna spent a lot of time taking the cows out to the field, playing with his cowboy friends, getting beat up by them in wrestling. I mean, who could beat the Lord, right? Getting outrun by them. Sometimes he would outrun them. Sometimes they would outrun him. Sometimes he would out-wrestle them. And sometimes they would out-wrestle him. These things are unheard of. He would eat with dirty hands. Out there playing in the fields. His friends are putting food in his mouth. He's putting food in his friend's mouth. Or sometimes his friends would bite the bread and then give the bread to him and he would eat it. Or he would bite the bread and, for example, as a human being, my grandmother's Jamaican. Jamaican people are funny when it comes to food and cleanliness. My grandmother would have rejected some of Krishna's activities if she didn't have a spiritual vision. Because my grandmother told me, let everybody die of their own germs. Even to this day, I don't like drinking behind people or eating behind people. I remember, this is how I know that women are powerful, particularly my mother. I don't get sick often, knock on wood. Very rarely. Maybe once every few years I get sick. But one day, I decided to go drink behind my mother. And I know my mother was a powerful woman. And I don't know if she was sick at the time or whatever, but she wasn't sick. I just drank behind my mother. And I got sick. Bad. Now, I don't know if there was a connection, you know what I'm saying? But my grandmother always taught me, don't drink behind nobody. Don't eat behind nobody. Let everybody die of their own germs. And yet, here it is, the demigods, the Necharu, the forces of the universe were observing Krishna in the field with his boys, taking a break, eating behind each other. And they were like, yuck. Even if you go to like a Hindu temple and stuff, there's something called like jata dharma, or something that's dirty. Anything juta is like for example, you can't put something in your mouth and then use that in a ritual form of worship. Another example. The woman who I love and the woman who loved me made me some beads years ago out of my favorite fruit, tamarind seeds. These are japa beads to chant on. One thing I asked her specifically is that when you make them, please don't make them from seeds that had already been in your mouth or in anybody's mouth. So she basically washed the pulp off and made me these tamarind japa seeds, because I wouldn't want to offer my chanting on beads that had been in somebody's mouth, because the mouth is considered dirty. The demigods were seeing Krishna doing all of this, and they were like, no, there's no way that could be God. So they questioned God. Krishna had to leave Vrindavan. Krishna's very identity was at stake when he was in Vrindavan, because the people loved him so much that he forgot who he was very often, and the fact that he had a mission. You can't be out there telling people about Dharma. Meanwhile, you in the bushes playing with your girls, your girlfriends, your homeboys standing lookout. Make sure Radharani don't come around. You can't be establishing Dharma and you out there swinging from trees. You breaking into people's houses to steal butter with your friends and monkeys. No sane man has a monkey as a friend. I remember on 31st Avenue in the 1990s, there was a guy in front of the liquor store with a monkey. He was sitting in a car. He had a pet monkey. Cute little thing. It had an overall suit, a shirt. It was dressed like a human baby. No sane man. Something happened to that monkey apparently, because I went to reach for the monkey like this. I was going to pat him on the head, but the monkey had been through some trauma. Yo, the monkey opened his mouth and I saw razor sharp teeth, went and tried to grab my finger. It's a good thing I pulled my finger back. Monkeys are very dangerous beings and they could be rude. Like I was told that in India, when you go to India, don't make friends with the monkeys and don't make enemies with the monkeys. Just be neutral, because they are no joke out there. People have been known to offend monkeys. Then the next day they come outside and it's 150 monkeys lined up on the rooftop waiting for you like, yeah. And they will do some serious damage, okay? So Krishna had these monkeys as friend, because unbeknownst to the human eye, these were the same monkeys from the pastimes of Lord Ram 1.8 million years ago. He had some monkey people with him help him build a bridge all the way from southern India to Sri Lanka. So these monkeys reincarnated into Krishna's pastimes, and in this pastime, because they couldn't reciprocate fully with Lord Ram, in that pastime they were just servants of the Lord. That's like when you see a king, the king maintains his identity because he sees that the people show him awe and reverence, right? So the king maintains. The president sees that people respect him as the president, so he maintains his identity. So these monkeys had awe and reverence for Lord Ram. But when Lord Ram came as Lord Krishna, about 1 million years later, 1.7 million years later in Vrindavan, these monkeys got to eat from the hand of God, and they got to do intimate activities with God, like, again, breaking in people's house and stealing butter. But when love is in the equation, it's easy to forget your identity. The people in Vrindavan loved Krishna purely. Nobody there was so educated. Nobody was a yogi sitting up in the mountains trying to learn how to float. Or there's so many yogic mystical powers. You could touch the moon with your finger. You could grab fruit from the other side of the world. Prapti siddhi. You know, you could go to the bank, take out stacks of money. You could take the chain off of Jeezy's neck and put it on Gucci Man's neck. You could take the clothes off of Gucci Man and put it on Jeezy. You get what I'm saying? You can do a lot of things with yogic powers. But you could do yoga for 1,000,000 years and barely get to see the bottom of the feet of the Lord. But in Vrindavan, their love was so strong for Krishna that he would forget that he was here for a mission. He was here to annihilate. Now, let's look at the setting. 5,000 years ago, there were still celestial beings on earth. Prior to the age of Kali Yuga, or the beginning of the dynastic era of Kemet, there were a lot of celestial beings coming back and forth to earth, mixing with man, taking the daughters of man and having children with them, establishing rulership over the earth. A lot of mixed bloodlines were ruling over the earth, from Kemet to Ur of Chaldees to India. There were also a lot of demons on the earth, and Krishna had to come and kill the cockroaches. But you can't kill the cockroaches if you're running around swinging from trees, eating from your friends' hands, playing around with the girls in the bushes and the ponds. It was so many wonderful pastimes he was doing, but that wasn't the fullness of his activity. So he had to leave that land of love. And I'll give you a personal experience. Like my woman, right? She has shown me so much love at times that I would lose my identity, because I would say, who am I? I would really question who I am, that this woman or another human being could love me so much. I would have to look in the mirror like, what is it about me that she loves so much? Because I know myself. I know how low down, dirty, rotten scoundrel I have been or can be. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what does she see? I'm just a normal guy from Queens. And this is, imagine now, in God's place, the people loved him so much. They didn't want no wealth from him. They didn't want no power, no fame. They didn't want any wisdom from him. Again, these were not educated people. These were cow herder people. They were already very wealthy because they had many cows. They didn't want nothing from Krishna but his presence. They just wanted to love Krishna. And that's what made them so powerful. You see, a lot of people get spanked by God because they fear God. They hold God in awe and reverence like a king. If I mess up in front of the police, I'm expecting to get locked up. You know what I'm saying? With Krishna, it was a little different. They loved him so much that they had the power to chase him down and tie him up, or spank him when needed be, or wrestle him to the ground. Stuff like that, you know, because their power of love overwhelmed his sense of self. But in order for him to do his pastimes of killing so many fallen angels that were in the world, he had to leave that setting because he often forgot who he was. That's how strong love is. It could give you the power to spank God. Instead of being spanked by God, you become the spanker of God. So, in essence, the goal is not to become God or equal to God. The goal is to become more powerful than God. And there's only one way to do that. And Krishna gave you the key. He said in the Bhagavad Gita that the only key to controlling him is through love and devotional service. It's really easy. If you want the power to walk on the moon, you want the power to escape death, all you got to really do is engage in devotional service. And you could transcend these things that yogis sit under a cold waterfall, butt naked, for 10,000 years, meditating on the name of Om, Om, Om. Well, they're trying to see God within. Some yogis, they get to the point where they can see God within, but all they do is catch a glimpse of him, and they see Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is so beautiful that for the rest of their life, they desire and strive to get back to that point, but it always escapes them. Meanwhile, there was a war. Jarasandha attacked the city of Dwarka 17 times. And then on the 18th time, he went and got this European barbarian, a Yavana, who had so many other Yavanas under his command, 33 million soldiers. And there's a strong, healthy Kshatriya from Europe. You know, like Conan the Barbarian. Imagine Conan the Barbarian or the Terminator is running down on you. And he's been known to slaughter millions of men. Krishna left the battlefield on that 18th battle. And he walked. Boom, boom, boom. There was a science to it. That's not the purpose of this story. But you can look up. I think his name was Kal Yavana. strong, healthy warrior was chasing Krishna as fast as he could. Fast as he could. And all Krishna did was walk, like in a horror movie. How is it that I'm running at full speed and the dude with the mask and the hatchet is coming after me? He's walking and he still catches me. Well, this is the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. This man was running fast behind Krishna. Couldn't catch Krishna because there was no love and devotion there. But yet, a voluptuous, curvy woman, that's how she's described, full breasts, full hips, bangles on her ears, nice earrings, la satkundalam, bangles, all of that stuff. A woman chased Krishna because Krishna knew how to run at this time when he was a little baby, because of how they describe it in the Damodarastakam, the 8 verses of Damodar. They said, give me 1 second, please. Davamanam. Yashoda Biolu Kala Davamanam. I believe that Davamanam means that Krishna was running away in fear from Yashoda. Right? So she was running after him. And she's a lady. She's not an athlete, but she still caught him because she had that power of love. The only way to capture God is through the power of love. And again, the residents of Vrindavan were so special because they short-circuited God with their power of love. I'm giving you guys some secrets, okay? How to obtain all of your desires, how to eliminate your desires, or to obtain them is actually by putting all of your loving focus into the Supreme Lord. And that is one of the essences of devotional service. I'm getting choked up because love is powerful. Hare Krishna.